and length of time in years, and death. So 5%, 12, $500, $10,000. Length of time in years, 7, something like that. There's also a target value here. We're going to use that only when we're trying to figure out one of the inputs, given we know what the results should be. But since those are also dollar amounts, okay, I'm going to make these also dollar formats. We'll get to know what those are. Okay, I'm not going to worry about those, at least for now. I also have availability for options. Depending upon the value of those options, I may want to do different things. In this case, there are two things that I can do. One, I can calculate a present value. The other is I can calculate a future value. So I basically I left 3 options in there just to show you that your options could have triple values. But I'm going to delete option 2 and 3. Oops, this delete button. Because this base basket refers to the table of the options. Okay. Now, with respect to these two, let's talk about this option first. The way it's set up, double clicking goes through different values for the options. You know, a green check mark means the value of the cell is 1. Yellow is 0. Red is -1. I'm going to use the only one part, but technically I can convert this into yes or no, but I'm not going to do that. Here's what I'm going to do. If this thing is a check, if the value of that cell, I haven't talked to you about naming things, but I name that cell status is equal to 1. That means I am doing present value otherwise I'm going to be doing future value. I'm going to double click on that and kind of this if function is a very useful and versatile function. It has 3 arguments. The first argument is the logical test. It tests whether or not something is true. In this case, the name of that cell is status. Technically, the name of that row is status. Yes.
Can you just show me how you do that
This one? The equation. Okay. Let's do this. If that thing, since this is a table, when you write formulas in a table, it refers to the columns. If the number in that row under the status column is equal to 1. So I'm checking that. And I decide that if it is 1, I want that to represent present value. You could choose future, doesn't matter. So the second argument is after a comma, what's going to happen if the logical check in the first argument evaluates to true? So if I have a green check mark, this condition is equal to 1, is equal to true. Then comma, what's going to happen if it's not true? I mean, for now, all I'm doing is I'm indicating to the user, if this is green, it's present value. If it's not green, it's future value, okay? If you want to go back to green, present value, go back to green, all right? I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to make this if this thing is equal to 1, solver mode, otherwise setup mode. That's important because when this first input is red light, I'm just setting up my problem. When it's green light, I'm basically asking Excel to find the value of the unknown given a target using goal seed. But when I'm setting that up, I don't want that to happen. There's another thing I'm going to do here, again, to tell myself if I'm doing present value, this is going to be target PV. Again, this is only cosmetic, but otherwise target FV. There is another thing I'm going to do here. If I'm doing PV, I want that to say balloon payment. If I'm doing future value, I want that to say starting balance. Same idea, again, similar if function. If that is equal to 1, I'm doing PV, so I want this to say balloon payment. Otherwise, I want it to say starting balance. All right. Other than the formula to calculate either future value or present value, you're almost set. These are basically my inputs. Oh, when you're going to do solver, this little cell has a little drop-down box. You pick the one thing you don't know, the thing for which you want to find a solution. I mean, let's say we wanted to figure out what the payments should be. That means I would be solving for payments. We're not in the solver mode yet, so changing that variable doesn't do anything yet other than showing us what's going to happen. Now, there's already a formula here, a formula there. This is only for the purposes of this left-hand side formula tells you that given these inputs, what is the present value or future value, depending upon your option, of an annuity with a balloon payment or a starting balance. So first, I'm going to write the formula for PV, okay? Well, I'm going to start with the period interest rate. I only entered APR, so my period interest rate is APR divided by frequency. Okay. The second one is number of periods or number of payments. That's length of time in years times frequency. The third argument is the periodic payments, 500. The fourth argument is balloon payment. Technically, there is an optional fifth argument, but we'll never use that in this class, or at least in my class. Technically, there are two types of annuities. The ordinary annuity, where the first payment is made at the end of the first period. There's also something called annuity due or annuity in arrears, where the first payment is made at the beginning of the first period. But an annuity due is the dollar amount. The present value of an annuity due is the first payment plus present value of an annuity with one less payment. So we can take care of that. There is only one thing that I can think of you would ever see annuity due. If you win the jackpot in Lotto, Powerball, and that sort of stuff, one of your options to get 30 equal payments, the first being right now. After that, you get 29 more payments for 29 years. Your other option is to get a lump sum amount. So that would be a annuity due. Let's say the jackpot was 30 million. Every year you're going to get, before taxes, $1 million, starting $1 million right now, then 29 more every year after that. And if you leave that blank, it assumes that it is a regular annuity, which is what we're going to do.